What's up guys, it's a Hockey Radar tracking drafts and prospects, and today we are going to mash up a couple of reviews together into one video, recapping the US CHL Prospect Series as promised, as well as reviewing some of the preliminary World Junior Championship rosters released from the last few days. Starting with the Prospect Challenge that took place a few weekends ago in Alberta between the CHL's best draft eligible players versus the US National Team Development Program. After Team CHL took the series 2-0 last year, the US came in with a much stronger performance, winning Game 1 with a 4-2 victory. Canada then trailed 3-1 in Game 2 before storming back with 3 straight to win 4-3, but ultimately it was the US in overtime who took the series with a goal by Victor Plante. Although Canada outshot the US in both games, I thought it was a much closer matchup when you compare it to last year, and there were many points where the series could have gone either way. On the Team CHL side, for starters, I loved the jerseys this year, very clean and looked great on the ice. A couple of standouts for them, as I predicted. Mathis Preston looked great, led all players in points with 3, great shooting, looked great with the puck on his stick, and lots of chances, and just all around one of their most impactful players. Caleb Malhotra looked very strong too, very physical, had a huge reverse hit in Game 2, a great setup on Chase Reed's goal, and a highlight reel shorthanded breakaway goal in Game 2 to start the comeback for Team CHL. I also thought Alessandro Di Iorio had a solid series after starting off the season injured, had a couple great chances in Game 1 and then scored to tie up the game in Game 2. On defense, there was a lot to like, and unfortunately a lot not to like. Xavier Villeneuve was a force in the O-zone, all over the ice, making moves at the blue line, finding space in the slot, and getting into scrums even at his size. He looks like he could be a very, very good player, with similarities to Lane Hudson the way he shifts around the ice. Carson Carroll's had a great series too, as did Chase Reed, who scored a beautiful goal. And although Ryan Lynn did not get on the score sheet much, I thought he was one of their better shutdown guys, as he broke up several dangerous US chances. In the D-zone overall though, there was a lot of defensive breakdowns, letting the US walk in and take space in the slot, and giving up the puck in dangerous areas, and credit to the US, they took advantage and scored off a lot of these chances, which made the CHL's overall defensive game very poor. In net, both goalies were solid, however they were outshined in both games of the series. A couple disappointing players for me. Ethan Belchetz had a few great chances but was unable to put up any points. Ryan Rubrock was very ineffective as he also failed to register a point, both of whom I thought would be vital pieces to the CHL's offense. JP Hurlbert had a decent series and solid chances. I just expected a little more out of the Western Hockey League points leader. On the US side, Brady Noling stole the show in Game 1 as he stopped several high-danger chances by Team CHL. He saved 42 out of 44 shots, which included several point-blank one-on-one stops that kept the US ahead in the game. Luke Carithers also had a strong performance with 33 saves on 37 shots, as well as 4-for-4 saves in overtime. Wyatt Cullen looked very good for the Americans as he was all over the offensive zone, putting up a goal and 2 assists. Sammy Nelson, whose brother Danny was a huge part of Team USA's World Junior back-to-back golds, had a great series with a goal and 2 assists as he too was creating chances non-stop. Jamie Glantz looked very solid with 2 goals in the series, including a wicked wrister on the 5-on-3 power play in Game 2. And Victor Plante, whose brothers Zam and Max are all over the NCAA point leaders list, had an amazing series with a couple great snipes, including the series winner in overtime. As predicted, Luke Scherer was a standout on the blue line, and although not much offensive production, Casey Mutrin and Mikey Burchild were very impactful on the ice, creating chances and laying the body. Overall, a much more even matchup compared to last year. A lot of physicality as well, as although it technically was not a Canada vs US game, the rivalry was still alive and well. There were a ton of penalties, which meant that the power plays got a lot of great looks and teams capitalized. USA takes the win this year, their goalies played amazing, and their forwards capitalized on Team CHL's defensive errors. Congratulations to them, this makes the series 1-1 dating back to last year, and so I expect next year to be even more exciting. Over to the World Juniors rosters so far. I'll start with the Americans because I am waiting for Canada to release their roster in 20 minutes or so while I'm making this video, but USA's roster looks quite solid. Definitely a step back from previous years, but what helps them out is a lot of experienced players that are returning. Hagens, Ziemer, Stiga, Plante, Yzerman, and Connolly return on offense, which will be huge for them, stepping into bigger roles this year. In terms of depth, I'm a bit surprised they did not bring along Cullen Potter or Ethan Wittenbach. On defense, no real surprises, expect Cole Hudson to lead the way. Pleasantly surprised to see Chase Reed make the early roster as a younger defenseman out of the CHL, which is a bit rare for the US, but he certainly has earned the invite. In net, no surprises either, but a little bit of a concern as none of them have any prior World Juniors experience. US will have to figure out their starting goalie situation in the preliminary games before the round robin starts to make sure they're not behind. For the Swedes, a very exciting looking roster. Top end skill looks amazing in Stenberg, Frondell, Bjork, Eklund, etc. They did bring 4 draft eligible players, none of them being Marcus Nordmark, which is a bit surprising for me. If they were to bring that many, at least to the early roster, I would have thought that Nordmark would make the cut, but otherwise, no real surprises on offense. On defense, no real surprises either, just no real number 1 defenseman this year after having Sandin Pellikka last year. This might be their most glaring issue, as you are heading into the tournament without someone that you can rely on power play, PK, and last minute scenarios that other teams do have. As well, they do not have a right shot defenseman, obviously not the most pressing issue, but still worth noting. In net, same as the US, the goalies have no prior experience, which again is not the biggest issue, but compared to some of the other teams who have experienced returning goalies, this may make a bit of a difference, as again, you do not have an established goalie that you can rely on going into the tournament. They'll have to figure out quickly who can play number 1 defense minutes, and who can be the starting goalie in the prelim games so that they are not behind by the time it gets to the round robin. Other nations who have announced their rosters, Czechia looks very intriguing with some exciting players in Adam Dzeko, Adam Benyak, Adam Novotny, and Vaclav Nestrasil. I guess if you're going to name your kid in Czechia and you want him to do well in hockey, name him Adam. On defense, Murka and Juracek look exciting, as overall this team has the opportunity to upset a few of the giants yet again this year. On Slovakia, Adam Nemec and Thomas Kranko look solid as underagers, as well as a few other young defensemen, but they will be an exciting team to watch. Now that Canada's training camp roster has been released, goalies are no surprise, as I predicted, George, Ivankovic, and Ravensbergen. On defense, very similar to my predictions as well, with the addition of Carson Carroll's draft-eligible defenseman who could go in the top 15. Well-deserved invitation for him after, like I said, a solid showing at the Prospects Challenge. Kind of surprised that if they were to go with another draft-eligible defense on top of Keaton Berhoff, that it wasn't Villeneuve though. Overall, a very solid defense core that could even be upgraded if Dickinson is loaned in the future. Might be the strongest D core on paper, along with the Finns. And up front, huge news getting Michael Misa loaned, however unfortunately there's no word yet on Berkeley Catton or Ben Kindle, which is a bit of a head scratcher on the part of the Seattle Kraken. Misa instantly becomes that number 1 C and provides a ton of skill to that top 6. Most of the forward core is how I predicted, with the addition of Wings first rounder Carter Bear, Mammoth prospect Caleb Desnoyers, and Lightning prospect Sam O'Reilly, all with well-deserved invitations. Desnoyers I knew had the skill, I just wasn't sure if he was fully healthy and ready to go, but apparently he is. And O'Reilly a bit of a surprise, but his London Knights coach is in charge, so that makes some sense. No Justin Carbonneau is shocking after he is literally a goal per game in the queue. With no Carbonneau or Villeneuve, that makes the Q's only representative Caleb Desnoyers, which shows that the Q continues to be underappreciated. As well, no Marek Van Acker or Tarek Periskak, which is a bit surprising for me. Overall though, one of the strongest cores on paper, and Canada has all the opportunity in the world to bring gold back to the country. As of now, Denmark, Latvia, and Finland have yet to announce their rosters unfortunately, so more on that later. That's my review of the Prospects Challenge and my review of a few announced preliminary World Juniors rosters. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below and who you are excited to see at the tournament. Like and subscribe and stay tuned for tons more prospect content.